Welcome, welcome. Our Thursday, great conversation. We've remained connected. Sunday, today we don't have our girls. They are busy in the hub with the vaccine van, but we are going to enjoy it. I believe James will be here soon. Remember, we are talking about celebrations, celebrating ourselves as well as others. So it must be, or it has to be, a good conversations. We have to do this for our well-being. So welcome. I hope you've had a good week and a good break. Last week we didn't meet. I hope you had good Jubilee celebrations wherever you are. Those who are joining from abroad, Dr. Kanina, I hope you can hear us okay. And Nisa, you'll be coming back. I hope you can hear us okay, and perhaps share how you have celebrated the Jubilee from a distance. So let me start with sharing one slide, and then we will attempt to go to the polls and gauge where we are at when it comes to matters of celebrations. So let me share this now. We have the big celebration there. I hope you are already excited by the movement of those balls, although they have stopped. But when we are talking about celebrations and our well-being, we are thinking, birthdays, we are thinking life, we are thinking graduations, we are thinking weddings, new homes, independence. We are also thinking naming ceremonies, all those celebrations. So the question is, why are they important to us? Or are they important to us in the first place? And if they are, why? Why is it necessary that we have these celebrations? Now you notice that these celebrations are, you either celebrate them, well, most of the time, or you mostly celebrate them in groups, or it's a community thing. But we also forget one aspect of celebrating yourself.
Recording in progress.
So celebrating yourself, which is why we talked of celebrating for someone else. How important is that to you? But think about the list up there. The birthdays, life, graduations, weddings, new homes, independence, naming ceremonies, and whatever. So think about that as we explore, the whole agenda of celebrations. So at this point, I will attempt to share the polls so that we see how we can engage ourselves. Can you see any polls?
Yes. Yeah.
Oh, fantastic. I have launched it. So try to answer or try to respond to those two questions. And the first question is, how important are celebrations to our well-being? 100% important, 50% important, or 10% important? Note that there is no 0% importance, which means we have some importance in it, but it will depend on how you rate it. So you can respond to that. Good. Or I can already see the responses. And the other, yes, that's part 2 or question 2 of it is, how well do you celebrate, or do we celebrate ourselves as individuals? Again, very well, well, or not very well. Ooh, okay, I can already see the responses there. And the question 3, how well do we celebrate each other? Very well, well, not very well. It seems like most of you have already responded to that, but let's go through the responses to help us understand where we are at with this. Now, how important are celebrations to our well-being? I'm glad to see that 75% of us feel it is 100% important. Yeah, 100% important, while 25% feel it is 50% important, and thankfully, none of us feel it is 10% important. So at least we are above, above, 50 and above, with only 25% feeling it is 50% important. So the majority of us feel it is important. But let me hear your responses on that. How, the 75%, what does that mean to you? Or why do you feel that it is 100% important? And we put it down so that I can see. Yeah, so let's interact. Let's hear why you think it is 75. I mean, why most of us feel it is important. I know that we are talking about our well-being. Yes, come in. You're phoning in. I wonder who that is. Is that Janet?
Janet.
Yeah, fantastic. Oh, good. I thought so. Yes.
Yeah, how are you? Yeah, good morning to all.
Yes.
Yeah, I think it's very important to celebrate ourselves. It's good for our mental well-being, physical well-being, and our emotional well-being. Because when you talk about celebration, for your physical well-being, when you are celebrating, you are happy in within yourself. That will come with your mental well-being as well. And your emotional, you are also happy in within yourself when you are celebrating. Socially as well, if you are celebrating, you won't go and wear something ugly, won't you? You try to wear something beautiful, elegant, and as you are wearing something beautiful, elegant, you are imagining yourself to be like somebody. Celebration comes with imaginary things in your mind. You are celebrating like who? I want to celebrate like Tina Turner. I want to celebrate like this person. So it also helps our emotional well-being, mental well-being, physical well-being, and even your family around you. When they see you happy, they will be happy as well. That's my take.
Fantastic. Wow, I totally agree with that. I like the fact that you have associated it with dressing, because very soon we are having our annual conference at Hilton Hotel, dressing to our best. So thank you for that. Yes, Annette.
It's a feel-good factor. It makes you feel good about yourself and others. It's brighten up your life. It's you're feeling who you are, and you're demonstrating that. And it's good. That's good for your well-being, your mental well-being, your physical well-being. As you said, it's been part of something. You are here, and therefore, you should celebrate yourself in some way or another. It doesn't necessarily have to be a big thing where everybody's there, but if you do something that makes you feel happy, then that is, as far as I'm concerned, is good enough. Yeah.
Good. Fantastic, Annette. And it is that feel-good factor, that works magic.
Yes.
The way you feel, the way you think, it's everything.
Yeah. And you don't necessarily have to, it doesn't necessarily have to be for looking at someone else, because you're not someone else. You're yourself. And therefore you have to bring out the qualities that you have within yourself, or you aspire to. This is how you have everyone have a different way of dressing. Not everyone dress the same. Some people feel when you put something on, it makes you feel good, how you feel. Yeah. You may like someone else, but that's not your style. That's their style, and you need to bring your own, I feel.
Yes. So being yourself, being authentic.
Yes.
And the other element you have brought in there is on, not comparing yourself with somebody else.
Exactly.
And
because you can never really compare yourself, because you're unique as a person and you bring your own additions. You admire other qualities in other people, yes, and of course you aspire and you look for, I believe you look for the best. You're never going to look well, I wouldn't look for the worst in people to admire. I've got to look at the best that I can say, well, oh, that feels good to me to see that. Yeah, so.
Well, I mean, that's, precisely so, that then tells us that we all have a reason to celebrate ourselves.
Absolutely.
However you look, because you are your unique self, which is why we now actually have 80%. Yeah. So, yeah. And gone down to 22%. So we are being convinced that we need to celebrate ourselves as we are. Or celebrations are important.
Yes.
In whatever form they might be. Wow, fantastic. Thank you so much. Would be nice to hear from anybody who rated 50% important. Anybody who fall into the category of 22%? I'll put that down in case I'm missing somebody. Welcome in, Yayasha.
Morning.
Morning.
Sorry, I almost forgot. I was busy.
That's all right. Yeah, we're just in the process of, analyzing the polls. So, you have not missed a lot. Okay, maybe somewhere along the line we'll come back to, that 22%. Those who have rated themselves as 50% important, and why not 10% and why not 100%? There must be a reason for that. But when it comes to our well-being, we all, or majority of us, acknowledge the fact that it is important to celebrate. Whatever that celebration might be, remember the list I showed in the beginning, it could be celebrating independence. We've just celebrated the Jubilee, the 70 years of our monarch. Whether it is the birthday, yeah, if there is a child born in your family, in your household, very, very important you celebrate that. And that's why we have occasions like the naming ceremonies and all the rest of it. If it is passing the exam, graduation, whatever that is, it is important to celebrate it. Now, it goes a long way to not only, the bringing in good factor is there, but it is also a mark of the value that you hold towards that particular achievement that you're celebrating. So very, very important. Now, the other one, the question 2 was, how well do we celebrate ourselves as individuals? Oh, okay. Now with this one, we have that 3% saying very well, then that 3% saying well, and not very well, we have that 3% too. Wow. So yeah, it's shared across the board. Very well, well, and not very well. Now, remember, this is celebrating ourselves as individuals. I wonder what you think, or rather, how you can explain that. Of course, only that 3% of us feel it, we do it very well. Any response to that, to anybody, from anybody?
I have a response, not for the very well, but I'd say kind of in between, really, because I think sometimes we don't look at what we do as worthy of celebrating. It's just kind of like, well, I did it because I had to. If I didn't, no one else was going to. Yeah, we don't kind of really accept small wins as great achievements when really they are, because they're the ones that make up the bigger picture, so they're not any less important as big ones.
Yeah, those small wins, we don't really think of them as achievements. And I think personally, I think they get in the way of us achieving more. Yeah, but the fact that we don't celebrate those small wins, hinders us or becomes a barrier to us moving on and achieving even, greater things.
Yeah, because if you were to reward yourself, then you'd obviously get more of the feel good factor on a more regular basis, and then so it would make you want to do more.
Yeah, that's true. And do we think then that's a cultural thing? Do you think there is something as a culture, I mean, for us, that we don't feel we are good enough or we've done well enough worth of celebration?
Maybe, and I think sometimes as well, when you've had to fight a lot, when you've had to struggle for a lot of things, sometimes at the end maybe you don't have the energy, and then like, fighting a lot is a cultural thing. So then, yeah, once you don't have the energy to do it, it doesn't seem so important, and it just gets lost and forgotten about, I suppose.
Yeah, you're too exhausted to even reflect and see how far you have come.
Yeah.
Yes.
And then sometimes the things get in the way of, you think, it may be, is it worth celebrating? Because there's other bigger things that, are on the horizon, or there's other things that detract you from your celebration, because maybe something else seems more important. And so you don't put yourself first, and you deal with that. So, in life, that, especially in families and, even among friends, something come up and, you're put on the back burner, not deliberately, but, something else you yourself deem, I'm fine, so I will, go ahead with whatever that is. And your small gain, you sort of don't feel it's that important for you to put that first, because something else deemed more important.
Yeah. And I guess this is where you hear some people say, well, there are other bigger things to think about. Bigger and better things to think about, but actually you have forgotten what you've achieved is far more. It has taken you to another place for you to achieve more.
Absolutely. Yeah.
Yes. And I think also the other thing that gets in the way is the fact that we feel there are others who have achieved more than what you have achieved. So you don't need to celebrate it anyway, because there are others who are ahead of you. Which is wrong, because what you have achieved is you and yours, and so need to celebrate it as it is. Good.
As I would say, it's great to see people are doing well and they're achieving their goals, because those are the goals they set for themselves and they're achieving. Their goals are not your goals. You need to be working on your goals to achieve yours. It's lovely to see, and you give the people, because they put the work in and they achieve their achievements, and it's nice to celebrate their achievements, but you should also set your own goals and try and achieve those for yourself, so that you can have that feel good factor for yourself, what you set out to do.
And this comes with the realization that we are all unique.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. We go back to the beginning. We are unique, and what we do is for ourselves, and not, it's nice, and appreciative of what other people do, because you can see it could be beneficial to you, and it can give you encouragement also to go out and say, well, if they're able to achieve that, I can achieve that too. But again, you have to put yourself in that position to be able to do that.
Yeah, very true.
Yeah, and I think the other comparison, when you start comparing yourself to other people as well, like, you know, well, someone else has made that achievement, they're not celebrating, so why do I need to? So yeah, yeah.
So it becomes you're demeaning yourself.
Yeah.
Yeah, fantastic. And the last part, or the last question, is around how well we celebrate each other. And the responses we have is 56% of us feel very well, 22% of us feel well, and 22% feel not very well. Interesting distribution, but at least the majority feel that we celebrate each other very, very well. And I'm just wondering what the reality is. It an experience? Is it an experience for the majority of us here? Maybe it would be good to hear what you think. Oh, somebody has gone down. Now we have 50%. We don't celebrate ourselves very well, each other very well.
No, I think we celebrate, for me, I celebrate each other very well. I celebrate other people very well, because the saying, what goes round comes around. If you do celebrate others, others will celebrate you. And if you have the heart, the feeling, the energy to celebrate yourself, which brings us back to the first question, how well do we celebrate ourselves? Which the percentage was about 75%. So if we do celebrate ourselves, for any reason why we do that, I think we should be also ready to celebrate others. Because if we celebrate others, we are motivating them to be where they want to be, or to appreciate them for what they have done at that stage. I know sometimes we put our hopes so high that reaching those hopes sometimes makes us look like failures. And we have to bear in mind and encourage each other to say every little step they do in life is worth celebrating. You don't have to wait to have a master's degree to celebrate yourself. You don't have to wait to, let's say, have a big promotion to celebrate yourself. I think every day we should be celebrating ourselves. Even for the mere fact that maybe, oh, I went to work today, I was able to like make a change in somebody's life, or I was able to talk to somebody to make that person to feel better. You should be able to celebrate yourself and celebrate that person that you were able to talk to. So that's my take.
I agree. I really agree with that. It goes back to what the law of attraction, which you have actually explained there very well. Yeah. What you attract, you get. And so if you're not celebrating others, how do you expect to be celebrated? Or how well do you think you celebrate yourself? Yeah. So thank you for sharing that, Janet, so well. Janet,
it's just saying, because as you say, you celebrate others, you know, and it goes round, because, you know, you're celebrating others, so others will celebrate you. But I think sometimes people don't, although they are doing it, they don't think of it as being a celebration. To just do it because it's natural to do. You know, someone has achieved something, or someone is working hard at someone, or someone's doing something, and you give them that support. It's how you look at celebration. But even though you're not out there dancing and singing, you're having a feel-good factor within yourself, because you know, my neighbor is doing something, or a colleague's doing something and you're giving them that support, and you're celebrating what they're doing by supporting what they're doing. So it's, again, it's people, how you respond to things. You may not look at it in a celebratory light, but you are making a positive impact in whatever that person is doing by giving them encouragement, or whatever way you can express that goodwill and that good feel good factor to them, you know. So yeah.
And you just pointed at a very important point there. Maybe we should have started by defining the word celebration. Yeah, James, welcome. Welcome there. Yeah, defining the word celebration. What does it exactly mean?
Yeah,
because it will mean one thing for another, for somebody, and another to, somebody else. But then going back to the list we showed in the beginning, which I'll be showing after we have discussed this, it will help us understand why we need to have this celebration for self and also for others. Yeah, so that's a very important aspect you have brought in there. Mary.
Yes. Yeah, I put well. The reason I put well, because things have changed a lot, Cecily. I go back to our upbringing back home in Africa. So we always celebrate each other. We celebrate death, we celebrate birth, we celebrate marriage as well. So at the moment in Africa, Sudan, South Sudan in particular, so if you're poor, actually you're, I would say, better members of your family or richer, they don't want you to celebrate with them, In all the occasions, that three that I've mentioned, for one reason or the other. So they either call their richer friends or richer other members of the family to celebrate with, or they just celebrate on their own. But for me, sometimes they would let the other family's member know that, oh, I'm getting married, even if it's in Africa. Then you can give them a call, congratulations and all this, and you're happy. But nowadays, sometimes you don't hear. You hear it from, oh, your cousin is getting married, but you did not get that message. But for me, I will just call them and say, congratulations. I will not celebrate, but I'm just happy for them. That's why I put well, because you're not considered anymore, because you're not in that class that people are building now. So you're just happy for them. For me, I'll call them and say, oh, I'm happy for my cousins that are happy and got better marriage, got wealth, got everything, children and everything. And for also my family members that are a little bit weaker and are not rich. So I'm also happy for them, So we are all one. And this is our upbringing. We have to celebrate each other. It doesn't matter which walk of life you're coming from, So, but at the moment, things have changed. And then I was surprised one day I was watching this Sudan TV, and Sudanese, they were really, really good people, like neighbors, everybody and all. So in Sudan now, when somebody died and you know them for very, very long time, they will come to the funeral, and they say Al-Fatah. The Muslim people, they know what is Al-Fatah. You go to this person that lost their loved one, you lift your hands up, that's called Al-Fatah, and you say some, Muslims words for the funeral and all this, and then you put your hands down, and then you all sit down. But when you're poor, you go to the richer person that lost their loved ones, and you know that person for a very long time before they even got rich. You go there to put your fatah, they will not even stand up for you. So things are really changing rapidly back home, and it's really sad. So that's why I put well. Yes, some of them will still call you, they love you, and they still feel the same as before. but some don't. So thank you.
Wow, Mary, thank you for that wonderful explanation, because yeah, that happens, the class thing. And well, I don't want to say it is conscious or unconscious, but you know, it is very well defined, even in our communities here, you know. So it goes back to thinking about or reflecting on who is invited and who is not. Yeah. And this is where, as a community, we need to really feel empowered enough to empower each other, irrespective of the stage you are at. Yeah. Remember, when you are up there, you may not, you cannot enjoy it all alone. We needed to understand that. And again, when you're down there, of course, it can't be a good place to be. And so that calls for that need to celebrate each other and do it well. And when I talk of doing it well, it's doing it meaningfully. You're not just doing it because you want to be seen there in fear of what people will say if they don't see you. And so that's why I'm always very skeptical with this statement when people say, well, I'm going there for technical appearance. I mean, that tells a lot. You're not genuine in whatever it is you're trying to do. So yes, the class thing is there. And of course, it's not good for our well-being. We see it in our communities on a daily basis, and more so even in our churches or in our religious, places or places of faith. And if it can go that far, then you can imagine how bad it is in the, outside the church or the religious places. So that really causes us to think about that and see the damage we are making or we are doing to ourselves and to others by not celebrating ourselves first and celebrating others. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. Can I add something as well, Cecily?
Please, yeah.
Yeah, another thing is it's experience, of disability as well. So they're rarely invited into their relatives or friends' occasions. I experienced that with one of my friends, which is a South Sudanese daughter. So one day she's on the Broad Street by that hotel that you remember we went into. She's coming with a white friend girl. So I was like so happy. I was greeting her and all this. And she just make her face like she doesn't know me. And then after she left, she was like making a gesture, like, her hand like that to her friend. So I call my friend. I say, your daughter did this and did that to me. I know that I love them all. It doesn't mean when somebody on the wheelchair, you have to reject them, all this. But it makes me more aware, what is going on with people and all that. And another occasion also, I was in Marks and Spencer, and I was like doing my own shopping. And one lady from Caribbean and said, oh, I really admire you. You come out and you do your shopping and all this. We have so many of our people here. They won't even go out. But after that incident, now I say, well, there is a reason why they're not really going out, because the prejudice that people are getting out there, if you're not strong enough, really, you will die inside. So this is another thing that I have to be careful when you're invited to people. Are these people really genuine or not? Like, I was happy to go to your daughter's wedding and all this. I didn't feel like because I'm disabled. I just feel like because I'm a human being and I was invited to this place. So I will go there and enjoy myself, and I enjoy the bride and groom and the family that are enjoying this celebration together. But there are some communities really is just getting out of hand. Thank you.
Wow, Mary, thank you. Thank you for that. And I see, yes, I see James has commented there. You hear some people say, just go to show my face. that genuineness of why we are doing what we are doing. Think about the impact it's having on somebody else. There is a reason why the government is also very hot on equality and, diversity, discrimination. The word discrimination comes in. It stems from this idea of celebrating self and celebrating others. Yeah. So think about the impact that is having on others. Yeah. So you hear technical appearance, and I'm just showing my face. I'm sure when you say you're just showing your face, you don't go back home thinking what you have done is very good. There is something that will disturb you. So any other comments on those the responses you've given to the polls?
For
Yes,
me,
Dave.
just to really highlight what Mary was saying, and she's really 100% correct in terms of what can keep our people out of touch, also in hiding, maybe masking what is going through their lives. And when we look at mental health issues, just looking at three factors here from one of the evidence I've been looking at. And one is really the belief that we have about the causes of that particular illness. So for Mary, she was stigmatized just because she's using a wheelchair. And whoever did that, whether it was a conscious effort or subconsciously, was just thinking that Mary is disabled. She's using a wheelchair. She's not capable to do anything. But that there was Mary going out shopping and everything, trying to really embrace the changes in her life. I think that's a really good spirit to have. The spirit we don't need to have is when we begin to analyze and define what the illness is. And that is where that belief is coming from. And also the silencing of some of these behavior and attitude can also cause us the stigma. I don't know what Mary's friend did, whether there was any dialogue with the daughter, and to educate people around some of this, because sometimes we think they know, they don't know what they are doing, the impact on somebody, and that impact can be trickle down to even Mary's family in terms of the whole aspect of the stigma. And there's a triple jeopardy, which I call triple jeopardy, because one, the belief we have about the illness, the stigma in our community, it is reinforced by people we actually know, family members, friends, and everything. So you have three elements, yeah? Even before you go to social services or the health service or the NHS or your GP, you have three stigmatizing factors in your life. I mean, we are human beings. How strong, courageous are you going to be to defeat three elements before you actually go to services that may also have their own stigmas as well in terms of not understanding you? So it's really important. But when we bring all of this to celebration, for me, even Mary behaving as she's behaving, coming out and about, it's good for us to celebrate that she's okay. She didn't allow the illness to take her away from us. I mean, for me to see Mary in church, it's like, wow, this is a celebration. This is something I'm proud to be part of her family or as a friend. So that's all what I want to add for now as we go along.
Fantastic. Thank you so much, James. And the point you have brought there on educating ourselves goes a long way. And it's really nothing more than simply having conversations like we are having now. Taking time to really explore that, because some things will happen unconsciously. And you'll be left thinking, I just did it. I wasn't thinking of how it has been interpreted. But having this awareness, educating ourselves will help us think about, the implications of it before we have even done it. So really, I salute you for taking time to be part of this conversation. That awareness is very, very key. And we are human. We are human. We are bound to get it wrong most of the time. But if we make it wrong second and the third time, then that is wrong. Yeah, so the need to educate ourselves is really, really important. So any other comment before I reflect on, okay, yeah, go on, Nasha.
So I struggled to answer this last question, mainly because I've known people to kind of celebrate me whilst they're there in my face, and then later on you hear something completely different. So the celebration they gave you was false. But now, as I've moved away from those kinds of people, like obviously I'm attracting a different set of people now. So then to have the celebration from those people feels odd, because even though it's genuine, I think that's the thing that feels odd about it, is that it's genuine, but it kind of seems like they would have less reason to be genuine than the people that you were around before, because you considered them to be close people. So that's why, because of that as well, I think that's why it's really important to celebrate yourself, so that you're not necessarily relying on the celebration of others to keep you uplifted.
That's true. Expectations of others. Because if you expect too much and don't get it, that's not good to your well-being. Yeah. And this is why from the beginning we've said you're unique. Yeah. And the first question around how well do we celebrate ourselves comes in. So celebrate yourself even when nobody else is celebrating you.
Yeah.
Throw a party to yourself, because that's important.
Yeah, I did yesterday. I had on music while I did the housework, and then I left it on so I could celebrate the cleanliness of my house.
And your background is clean. I mean, whatever is there is, I like it. Love life. Yeah. I think in response to you, indeed, what Cecily also said, we take all of these things for granted, because when we celebrate, it's conventional. And when do we really stop to say, hang on, how can I make this meaningful? You know, it's just like when we meet people who say, have a cup of tea, but what about a cup of water? You know, so it becomes like we have to do that. Do I have to celebrate you just because it is good to celebrate, but it doesn't really hit hard in my mind? So it's really about how do we recognize that? And you recognize that really very well. And Cecily said, why not self-focus? When we self-focus, it's not vanity, it's sanity. But how many of us stay in our own company? We are all the time looking out for what is happening outside when we have so much richness in ourselves. You know, so really you're doing a good thing to just celebrate yourself for every little thing you do, even stepping out of the house. Sometimes for some people, it's a big chore. So if you can do it, why not laugh about it? So, I'm glad I'm able to step out in my garden. So it's really important to have those things. But thank you for that opportunity. It's a good insight some of us don't have.
Yeah, thank you.
Fantastic. Yeah, Annette, you're in, and I see Lorraine's hand up. So Annette, you go first.
I was just going to say, going back to what you said about Cecily, about expecting others. Growing up as a, from a little child, my mother usually said to me, do not, expect, if you go expecting, you're going to be disappointed. She always said that to me, not to expect something, because that's a way of you being disappointed, because it doesn't always come through to you, and not to be expecting, but be yourself, be who you are, regardless. Yes, obviously you're not going to be liked by everyone, and that's okay too, providing you're not expecting them to like you or expecting this, then you're not going to be disappointed. And I think I've taken that throughout my life, because I've been around people who, they seem very nice, and it may not come back to me in that way. I'll try to do my best to treat people how I like to be treated. I'm never going to treat someone less than that. If I know you, I will not pass you. If I, if I see wherever you are, whichever company you're in, and when I get the opportunity, I will always acknowledge that you're there. But I don't expect that it's going to be the same from someone else, because they're, as you say, each one's unique, and they behave differently to you, and you're not. I mean, obviously you want people to treat you as you would like to be treated, and you treat them as you would like to be treated. And that's what I try to do with whoever I come into contact with, regardless of, I don't live their life. I can't live their life for them. But I'm trying not to, be unkind to make them feel less than. If someone take the time to acknowledge you, I just feel you should do the same. And because we all need each other, and having a kind word, or a smile, or a nod, or a wave. It doesn't take much from you just to acknowledge someone that they're part of your world and you're part of theirs, because we all share in the space, one way or another. So, it's just trying to have an open mind about people. And sometimes we may take offense, when sometimes it really not, nothing to do with you personally. It's about that person's, how they're feeling on that day, and how they react to you. You just have to, but you're human beings, and you do feel it. You say, oh, what have I done? Have I done something? Why is that person behaving in that way? But providing that you haven't, put anything out there to cause that reaction, then you just have to leave it alone and get on with what you need to get on with, and just be who you are, and just try and be who you are, and it will reflect. And like I see Mary in the town, wherever I see Mary, because I know Mary before she was in a wheelchair, and so it was so great to see her out, doing her shopping, doing whatever she's doing, being part of different things, going places. And it's really great. I mean, because any of us can become disabled at any time. We are living this perfect life. Some people, think everything about them is great, but we never know from one day to the next what can happen. And your life could change in a minute, a second, so we just have to be mindful, I think, of how we are to each other. Regardless of where we're from, regardless of what background we are from, or which part of the world, what color we are, whatever we may be, just treat people as we are all people, and we have feelings, and
Yeah, very important few points there, Annette. And I mean, you've mentioned, you've talked about the expectation. And these are some of the lessons we are taught, like from going to church or religious places, in school, and we teach our children the same. The expectation element. Now, when we talk about when we look at the financial health, being financially healthy, one of the key elements taught in that is that if you are to borrow somebody or to give somebody money, if you are to loan them the money that you don't need or you don't expect to use soon, because you don't know whether they will return it or not. And if they don't, that will have a huge impact on your well-being. So to avoid that, give them what you think you are not about to use. Yeah, so that it does not impact on your well-being. And when it is brought back, actually, it's a great investment to you, because perhaps it will come back when you least expect it, and it will go on to help you resolve, some of the things you've been putting away. So just think about that from the financial health. side of things.
Absolutely.
Then the thing about educating each other, you mentioned something very important. Actually, the person who might be mean to you is not because of you, it's about them. It's very, very important we carry that around. It's not about you, it's about them. It could be something that is not right with them, but it's not you, as long as you know your conscience is clean. So just bear that in mind. Fantastic. I know Mary, you want to come in? And okay, very quickly, and then we'll come to Lorraine.
Okay. I just want to answer James' question he asked earlier on. What is the reaction of my friends about the incident? So she was really very angry. She did ask the girl, and she denied. So she said no, she did not see me, and she didn't say anything as well. So I said, let it go. As Annette mentioned earlier on, it's her problem. It's nothing to do. I have nothing. So maybe that day she's in a bad mood, or the group that they're growing up with, they believe on, mocking others, with different disability or maybe different other things, even look, So it's her problem. She did invite me one day as well to her daughter, because the girl that I was talking about is her cousin's daughter, but she brought her here as her daughter. Her real daughter invited me to her graduation, and she's always like happy, this little girl. So she was born with heart problem. So we were there from day one, and all this. Her mother always said that, auntie this and auntie that. So she grew up like to really liking me, whether I was well or I'm ill or I'm on the wheelchair. She always happy. She was beaming every time she sees me. So it's actually individual problems. It's not the family thing. So if there is anything in the family, I'll go. But I try to make that girl as well happy, that I haven't got any grudges against her and all this. So to make her also happy in her own family. So I don't want to be there to make her unhappy. The only time I don't go to these places, if there is not access, if it's not accessible for the wheelchair and I can't get there, then I will have excuse not to go there, not because of having grudges with anybody else, And thank you, Annette, for your words, your kind words. So yeah, I knew you for a very long time. And James also is my neighbor for very long time, So yeah, disability can come to anybody at any time, any age, and you don't know what is around the corner. So we have to celebrate each other. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Mary. And good on you. You're teaching this young person by not taking any grant. Because with the times you realize actually what I did was wrong, but then again, for you, your intention is not to hurt her, but to make her learn as time goes, or as you interact with her. And yes, none of us is immune to all these health conditions, name it, mental health, whatever form of disability, none of us is immune. And once we have that understanding, then we'll have the responsibility of respecting each other as they are and celebrating them as they are. We look at them, they are differently able, so how can we work with them, from their ability as opposed from what they cannot do. So thank you, Mary, for educating us there on that. Lorraine, over to you.
Muted. Good afternoon, everyone. There's a lot of noise going on around me, so if you hear anything, it's the worksman. I sat here and I've been learning about celebrating, and often I do little things, but I don't usually look at it as celebrating myself. I do it in a jovial way, but it's a wonderful thing to be able to do those nice little things to ourselves that keep us healthy and well. And I just Mary made me think as well, because I often see her in town, but I didn't know it was our Mary on this platform. Mary, I'm feeling a little bit ashamed that I didn't recognize you in town as the Mary on this platform. But it's wonderful. Whenever I see Mary, it's always tug at my heart. And I said to myself, I'm so glad that this lady is out and about. It's a wonderful thing. And I had an experience wherein just as she's spoken about being ignored. And I had a lady that I had helped for a long time, even spend some money to get her to the doctors to sort herself out. But when I do spend, as you said, Cicely, and it is financial, you hand out what you're not going to need immediately. But I don't do it that way. If I give you £100 and whatever the amount, if I have to give, I don't anticipate it coming back to me. Because sometimes if I say I'll loan it to you and it doesn't come back and I'm being avoided time after time, I said, that's it. I know that person's not going to repay. So I give. I don't loan, Cicely. I don't loan. And therefore, by doing that, there will be no ill feeling. But I mean, this one lady, I was helping her through and she got graduated and I went to congratulate her and she just turned away. And I thought, oh, amazing. But it tugged at my heart at the time, but I was able to dismiss it. And it is good to be able to go through those things and not allow it to affect one's ability to forge ahead. And something you said, Cicely, about, throw yourself a party and be happy. You don't have to have a crowd to throw oneself a party. And I have learned now that celebration does not mean having a big thing. It can be just you, just me, just the family, or just the neighbor if you have a good neighbor. And it is wonderful to be here and listening and learning. I mean, like on Monday, was it Monday? Yeah. I decided I wanted something. And instead of going to Oxford, I jumped on the train. I went up to London and I had a wonderful day. I had a wonderful day. I didn't plan it, but I had a wonderful day. And my treat walking down down the road was a pineapple and mango smoothie. And I was just walking and enjoying my pineapple and mango smoothie. And it was just absolutely wonderful. I said, God, I just thank you so much for being able to go out and have a bit of fun on my own. I talk to people, but it's wonderful. I'm learning now how to celebrate myself more often. And I think at times, maybe we don't celebrate others because we don't know enough about them, or we don't know, where, and we don't have to know enough about anything about them. I mean, I can celebrate my neighbor if I know it's their birthday. They can celebrate me. It doesn't have to be a big thing. But I'm just thankful for this program, this platform, where I've learned quite a lot, because it's just amazing how much we can learn from each other. And that is just my take. And as for the celebrating 100% or 50 or 10. I think it's how we feel, how we've been over the years, because I know I celebrated a lot with my children. But when children are out of the picture and once left on their own, it tend to, fall. We tend to put things on the back burner. But then, as we develop, as we reflect, now we come to the conclusion that we don't have to be celebrating in groups, family. Family might be, hundreds of miles away, but we can still go out, sit in a restaurant, take a train ride, have some junk food even, and feel fulfilled for the day. So yes, it is good to celebrate oneself, even when we're on our own. That is my comment.
Thank you. Thank you so much, Lorraine. I love that. I love that you are endorsing that, and because you have experienced it. Your trip to London, wow. And that reminds me of Mary going to the Queen Elizabeth train. I hope you enjoyed that, Mary, and that we should join you and do the same, have the same experience.
Yes, a good
I
friend.
really did a journey. It was wonderful on my own, as Lorraine been traveling also on her own. And after I got off Paddington, I decided to carry on in London. So I was gonna go to London again for Madame Tisho. And that day I said, okay, let me go. So I went there and I went in. And they keep on asking, are you on your own? I say, yes, I am on my own. So I managed to go around. I did get assistance some places that I can't manage. And they said that you just go to that table, ask for assistance, will come for you. But I did most of my things, most of the things on my own. Like going up to the cinema, it was a little bit difficult because it's like upslope, So I did get assistance for that. But the rest of the things, I did it on my own. And this is one of my Madame Tussauds. So
wow, you're
I enjoy,
souvenir.
yeah.
Wow.
Yeah, I enjoyed it. And I took pictures and I had something to drink and
wow.
I celebrate myself more than before because as I mentioned earlier on, people are changing so fast. So if you don't celebrate yourself, nobody will celebrate you. Thank you so much.
Yeah, thank you, Mary. And nobody will care if you don't celebrate yourself. So you better do. So well done, you. Well done, you. And I think the lesson we are learning from here is let's go out there, celebrate ourselves. If you don't go out, celebrate yourself in the house. Get yourself the best of the music you've always longed for. Bake the best of the cakes. Give yourself the best of the dance. Just celebrate yourself. And I would like to celebrate Nisa and Dr. Kanina, who are joining us from afar. We celebrate you. Nisa, oh, brilliant. Thank you, Nisa. We really celebrate you. And I believe you celebrate yourself too. But just know, wherever you are, we have been celebrating you. But please say hello to us.
Thank you so much. I really love this topic today in particular. The concept of celebrating is actually quite new to me. So I'm from Indonesia, as you know, and Indonesia is very wide and diverse country. We have several cultures within it, and we do celebrate weddings, deaths, birth, quite a lot of things. But to celebrate oneself, for example, me celebrating me, it's not something common for us to do, and it felt quite awkward at the beginning. And I actually learned about this when I moved to the UK. And I was very fortunate to have a team, the public health, the wellbeing team at the Edinburgh Council, to celebrate little things about a person, which I thought was wonderful, because you would think, oh, this is just something that I do, or I need to do that, or it's fine, it doesn't matter. But then when someone says, no, it's worth celebrating, we really appreciate it, it makes you feel a sense of more like you belong, and also that you want to do better, not just for others, but also for yourself, because you also then it helps to help you see the value that you put in other people's life. And I think it's a wonderful thing. But at the same time, I think we also need to be careful of that self-celebration thing, because it could probably, I don't know, maybe it could get into our heads, maybe, I don't know. So to keep that balance might be a challenging thing. But for me, it is quite something quite new to celebrate self. We celebrate everyone else. We always in my culture, we always try to make sure that people feel that their contribution in the society, in the community, even like the smallest community as a family is acknowledged and also welcome and encouraged. But then when it comes to like, I want to celebrate me, it's still something that we're not common to do. But I think it's a brilliant thing. I think we need to be able to do both. Like Lauren said, you know, you need to be able to take yourself, go somewhere and enjoy that day, or get that cake that you want, or you know, just these little things makes us appreciate ourselves more. And but I think by doing that, well, at least in my case, then I'm able to even give more to others rather than like, oh, if I'm worth celebrating. It's like that doesn't come from a positive place. But when you come from a positive place, like, oh, I'm worth celebrating, others also are worth celebrating, then you have more abundance. When you come from a place of abundance, then you are able to even give more and celebrate more. Yeah, that's my 2
Yeah.
cents.
Wow,
But
please.
all the time.
Wow, thank you for bringing that up, because actually you have just validated the point that giving is one of the 5 ways to well-being. And of course, celebrating self is appreciating who you are, and appreciation goes a long way to having that good feel good factor that we mentioned in the beginning. So yes, and it is very cultural, you're right. Some people are better off celebrating themselves than others. But what we are calling for here is that let's get comfortable in celebrating ourselves, because it goes a long way in helping us feel good. And when we feel good, we look good. And when we look good, we are more better positioned to perform better. So, and when we perform better, of course, it's to the benefit of everybody. So it's that triple effect, that we need to think about when we are talking or having to deal with celebrations. And remember, the list to our celebrations is, birthdays, weddings, independence days, naming ceremonies, name it, whatever it is. And as a community, I know we do all that, but we never perhaps sit back and, think about the impact it is having on our well-being, because it's a normal thing. Yes. Now, Dr. Kanina, are you okay to say hello to us, if you can, please? I know you are out of the country, but I hope you've been following. But if you can hear us, or if you're able to, you can say hello to us as we celebrate you. Okay, perhaps he's not able to come in. But what I would say is that I would encourage ourselves to celebrate ourselves even more. And it is for that reason we usually have the annual conference, except for the 2 years of COVID that we were not able to have. Every July, the second Sunday, we have big celebration, annual conference at Hilton Hotel. And I know Eva, who is not with us here today, will soon be sending information to you on how to join in. I think it will be on the 10th of July. Please come in. Being a Sunday, dress to your best. Make sure you feel good. Spoil yourself together with others. Otherwise, at this point, James, please come and give us more on how we need to look after ourselves.
All right. Thank you, Cecily, and thank you, everybody. And Nisa, way back in Indonesia, thank you for such a wonderful input as well. I will begin by actually trying to share some of the thoughts I've been looking at also from a very cultural perspective as well. And this one is saying that the only thing that is wrong with us sometimes when we think there's something wrong with us. I don't know whether anybody can understand that, but what I can say is there's a constant thinking that something's wrong with us, so there's nothing to celebrate. You know, when if you look back and look at yourself, maybe one of the things I would like all of us to do, just look at what you can really celebrate about yourself, whether it's success or anything that you've done, or something that you really have, an asset, a talent, something that you admire about yourself. To just zoom into it, understand it, and really capture that moment and celebrate it. That can really help a lot. And I think the way forward really is about how we look at celebrations. Because when I started work in this country, I used to hear a lot about living, do Christmas, do this, and these are do's that never happened to me in Africa, because for me, every day there was a do. We didn't have to wait until Christmas to have it do. Every day we celebrate something. Every day there's something to talk about. Every day there's somebody to celebrate, or yourself. So when I started working here with colleagues and dues, and those are moments we look at the life of the person with you in that team. Now they are leaving, going to another team, or they retired, and that's really what is important to us today. Really, is looking at the global aspect of it, because very recently the Queen's been 70 years on the throne, and everybody, most people except those who are Republicans, they were all over the place, and they were like saying, look, this is it. This is what we can celebrate, and join the Queen and her family to celebrate those things. But if we look at ourselves, how much time do we spend on celebrating ourselves? You know, and we also know when the kids are growing up from day one, the first birthday, the second, the fifth, the sixth. I know there are principal birthdays that we remember, those major turning point or stepping stones that in their life. But there's constant message that we give to them that this is done because of you, because of this, because of that. So, but there are some point when we all become adults, we begin to deprioritize some of these things. And I think Nisa was talking about how important it is to recognize yourself. But is it possible? Is it common? Do we often do that? Are we not all the time looking at what other people have done? That comparison, compare and despair, and we forget about ourselves. So whatever we do, we need to really prioritize that moment in our life to celebrate us, to acknowledge us, to appreciate us. I mean, if you are a Christian or a Muslim, you pray to God and say, "Thank you, God, for having my life, having this or this, I've done this." So it's really important to look at all of those, because that's really where the joy we come from. And so that's the reason I like going to these thoughts, that the only thing that is wrong with us or me is when I think there's something wrong with me. And that thought can really take over you, and can really begin to think that you are not worthy of anything, you're not lovable, you're not likable. And we've heard about what Lorraine actually said, and also Annette and Mary, they were talking about little things that they do. So little step that you take to celebrate yourself, there's nothing wasted. Even if it's just a good food, a good time out in the sun, somewhere along the River Thames, if you live in Reading or London, or just visit a friend, talk to somebody, or just zoom into your own self, just be in your own company for some time, just reflect. That can actually go a long way. And when we actually step out and reach out, and I think Cecily mentioned that kindness is one of the fifth pillars of happiness or well-being. And I think we all do this thing, but sometimes we don't even know how much it impacts on the other person. Because when we say thank you, when they say thank you, even somebody who is just watching, that kindness can also have the impact of happiness. So you can see how it trickles down. It's not just you, it's not the receiver, but also the people who are standing by to see you, to watch you, to organize, and just observe you. Being kind to somebody can be also happy. There's a whole lot of stories around that as well. There was an experiment that was conducted just outside Liverpool Street in London, a very busy underground train station. And there was a gentleman who was lying on the floor, and people were just coming past by because it doesn't bother them. It wasn't their business. They were worried. Everybody was anxious to go to work and everything. They kind of, a lot of people came by and walked away. People came and walked away. And then suddenly somebody from nowhere came and went up to this guy and dropped some money. It was then that a lot of people started dropping money and checking what's wrong with him and everything. So that one kindness did trigger a lot of kindness for that gentleman. So some people actually checked out and they knew he was not well, so they called the ambulance and everything. So this is an experiment that took place in the heart of London. And this experiment is common in our own lives as well, in our homes, in our communities, in our streets in Reading. And so it's really about how do we celebrate people, even when they are unwell. We can celebrate them going through treatment. We can celebrate them going through recovery. We can celebrate them once they have recovered, and that's the reason why we keep saying a lot of thank you, Mary, because Mary is a typical example of somebody who has got a long-term condition that she's embraced it with courage and dignity. And we can see that it's possible. Yeah, recovery is possible. It can happen. It can happen at a different level. The level at which Mary is probably not the level she was before the illness, but she's capable to do things for herself. I mean, she went on the Elizabeth line, which some of us haven't even seen the train itself. So that's a remarkable achievement. She went to Madame Tussauds and took a lot of photos. And for her, that's her new ability. That is the new capability. And that is what she's celebrating. And when we see her doing that, we also celebrate the fact that she's okay with life. And she hasn't really thought there's something wrong with me. And I will go back to that thought that the only thing that is wrong with us when we say something is wrong with us. So, on that note, I would like to really leave you guys to enjoy the atmosphere as we come towards summer now. Is really important for us to start venturing out, trying to really engage with those things that you are afraid of. And it's one of the biggest thing really about fear. It's not about the object of fear. The fear itself is more powerful than the object. Yeah, you may be afraid of a lion, but the fear you have will make you paralyzed before the lion. So it's really about how you attack your fear threats. Is what is important. Acknowledging it, noticing it, knowing it, and you can really overcome it. So let's move today with that in our mind. But at the same time, let's begin to look at what is wrong with us. There's nothing. But what can we celebrate in us? There are so many things, you know. I can celebrate my height, I can celebrate my color, I can celebrate my hair color, and you name it. So there's so many things we sometimes don't even notice about us because the fear of acknowledging it is such a heavy thing that can really take us to a very different place. So on that note, those three issues. So please, let's find out something in us: talent, skill, even your voice, the way you talk, what you do to others, and just celebrate it for 10 minutes. We'll see you next week, and look after yourself. And self-care is not vanity, as I said, it's sanity. Bye-bye.
Wow. I love those expressions. Thank you, James. Thank you, James. So really look after yourself. Self-care goes a long way. Celebrate yourself the best way you can. And let's all meet again next Thursday and prepare for that even better feel good factor on the 10th of July. Otherwise, it's lovely to see you all. Nisa, thank you. Thank you. And we can't wait to see you back in person.
Thank
Bye-bye.
you. Lovely
Bye.
to see you, Nisa. Take care.
James, thank you, Lorraine. Thank you, everyone.
Thank
Thank
you.
you. Thank you.
Bye-bye.
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 Bye.
Bye-bye, everybody.
Bye-bye.